Hello everyone, we are Group 18 and today we'll be presenting our senior seminar project titled Increasing Daily Water Consumption Through Self-Management. My name is Christina Bejar and my partner is Iris Esber. The purpose of our project was to develop and evaluate an evidence-based self-management intervention designed to increase daily plain water consumption using principles of applied behavior analysis. Our target behavior was consumption of water. We operationally define this behavior as independently drinking 8 ounces of plain water from a cup, bottle, or other container. One occurrence was recorded every time 8 ounces were completely consumed. Only plain water counted toward the target behavior. Coffee, soda, juice, tea, sports drinks, and flavored beverages were excluded. Our daily intervention goal was 64 ounces of plain water per day. Having a clear operational definition ensured the behavior was observable, measurable, and consistently recorded throughout the project. We selected water consumption because both participants consistently consumed less water than recommended throughout the day. Although we had previously tried strategies such as carrying reusable water bottles, setting phone reminders, and placing water bottles in visible locations, these strategies only produced temporary improvements. In addition, water consumption is an ideal target for a self-management intervention because it is directly observable, easy to measure, and can be monitored objectively using daily data collection. This behavior is socially significant because adequate hydration supports many important aspects of daily functioning. Drinking enough water contributes to physical health, cognitive performance, concentration, productivity, and overall quality of life. On the other hand, insufficient water intake may contribute to dehydration, fatigue, headaches, reduced daily functioning, and urinary health concerns. By increasing daily water consumption through self-management, our goal was not only to change behavior, but also to establish a healthy habit that could improve long-term well-being. Before beginning the intervention, we considered several ethical issues. Participation was completely voluntary, and both participants provided consent. The intervention focused on improving a healthy behavior, so the level of risk was minimal. Participant privacy and confidentiality were maintained throughout the project, and all information was collected solely for educational purposes as part of this senior seminar. Because this was a self-management project, participants implemented the procedures on themselves while following ethical behavior analytic practices. During implementation, we also considered potential ethical concerns. Because data were self-reported, there was the possibility of recording errors or delayed recording. We also wanted to ensure that the hydration goal remained realistic and that the intervention did not interfere with participants' daily responsibilities. To address these concerns, participants received clear instructions for data collection, individualized daily goals were monitored, positive reinforcement was used throughout the intervention, and no punishment or aversive procedures were implemented. Overall, no significant ethical concerns occurred during the implementation of the project. Before developing our intervention, we reviewed 3 peer-reviewed behavior analytic research articles. The purpose of reviewing these studies was to identify evidence-based intervention components that could support our treatment package. The following 3 slides summarize the purpose, intervention procedures, and major findings from each study, and explain how each article contributed to our project. The first study was conducted by Silbaugh, Corley, and Maldonado in 2020. This study examined strategies for increasing water consumption in a 7-year-old child with autism and feeding disorders. The intervention combined non-removal of the cup with non-contingent reinforcement. The researchers found that water consumption increased substantially during treatment while problem behaviors remained low. Although our intervention used different procedures, this study demonstrated that ABA interventions can successfully increase drinking behavior, providing evidence that supported selecting water consumption as our target behavior. The second study was conducted by Peterson, Volkert, and Zeleny in 2015. The participants were 2 young children with feeding disorders who had difficulty drinking independently. The researchers used differential positive reinforcement, praise, and preferred tangible items to reinforce independent drinking. The results showed an immediate increase in self-drinking, and the reversal design demonstrated a clear functional relationship between reinforcement and the target behavior. This study directly influenced our intervention because it supported our use of positive reinforcement, an FR1 reinforcement schedule, and daily goal achievement. Our third study was conducted by Kogel and colleagues in 1992. Unlike the previous two studies, this research focused on improving social skills in children with autism through self-management. Participants used self-monitoring, self-recording, self-evaluation, and self-reinforcement procedures. The intervention successfully increased appropriate behaviors while reducing disruptive behaviors across multiple settings. Although the target behavior differed from ours, this article provided strong support for using self-management procedures, which became the foundation of our intervention. Overall, these three studies shared several important findings. First, all of the interventions demonstrated that ABA procedures were effective for increasing desired behaviors. Second, reinforcement consistently increased drinking behavior. Third, self-management procedures promoted independent behavior change and helped maintain behavior over time. Based on these common findings, we developed our intervention using 4 evidence-based components: self-monitoring, goal setting, positive reinforcement, and environmental modifications. Together, the research provided a strong scientific foundation for the intervention that we implemented in our project. With that foundation established, I will now turn the presentation over to Iris, who will discuss our assessment findings and the implementation of our intervention.
Now I'll discuss the functional behavior assessment that guided the development of our intervention. Our participants were 2 adult women who consistently consumed inadequate amounts of plain water throughout the day. Although we had previously tried strategies such as carrying reusable water bottles, using reminder prompts, and keeping water visible, these approaches only produced temporary improvements and did not result in long-term behavior change. To better understand the variables affecting water consumption, we conducted a direct observation assessment, or DOA, along with ABC data collection. These assessments were completed in our natural environments, including home, work, and study settings, allowing us to identify the environmental factors associated with the target behavior. Before introducing the intervention, we collected baseline data to determine each participant's typical level of water consumption. The dependent variable was the total ounces of plain water consumed each day, as this directly measured progress toward our daily goal of 64 ounces. During baseline, Iris completed 3 sessions and averaged 34.7 ounces, while Christina completed 5 sessions and averaged 35 ounces. As shown in the graph, visual analysis of the baseline demonstrated a low, stable level of responding with minimal variability and a stable trend. Both participants remained well below the 64-ounce daily goal, indicating a clear need for intervention. Our ABC assessment helped identify the environmental variables associated with water consumption. We found that water consumption occurred most frequently during meals, naturally occurring breaks, when water was visible and easily accessible, after reminder prompts, and during established daily routines. In contrast, participants were much less likely to drink water during prolonged studying, work responsibilities, documentation, or other competing activities. The behavior itself was measured as drinking 1 complete 8-ounce serving of plain water. The primary consequence following water consumption was reduced thirst and improved physical comfort. Based on these findings, we hypothesized that the behavior was maintained primarily by automatic reinforcement because drinking water consistently reduced physiological thirst. To summarize the assessment findings, water consumption was most likely to occur when water was visible, easily accessible, and paired with established daily routines. On the other hand, participants often delayed drinking while engaged in work, studying, or other competing responsibilities. Overall, our assessment suggested that water consumption was maintained by automatic reinforcement through the reduction of thirst. These findings directly guided the development of our treatment package by identifying which environmental variables we needed to modify. Based on both the assessment findings and the research literature, we developed a comprehensive treatment package. The overall goal was to increase daily plain water consumption to 64 ounces per day. Our intervention included 5 major components: antecedent interventions, our replacement behavior, consequence or reinforcement strategies, generalization procedures, and maintenance procedures. Each component was selected because it directly addressed the variables identified during the functional behavior assessment while remaining consistent with evidence-based ABA interventions. Our antecedent interventions focused on increasing opportunities to drink water while reducing the effort required to do so. Participants placed water bottles in highly visible and easily accessible locations, refilled them before prolonged work or study sessions, used reminder prompts approximately every 2 hours, and paired water consumption with meals and established daily routines. These strategies were selected because our assessment showed that water consumption increased whenever water was readily available, visible, and paired with reminder prompts or natural routines. By changing the environment before the behavior occurred, we increased the likelihood that participants would drink water consistently. Our replacement behavior was straightforward. Instead of delaying water consumption until feeling thirsty, participants were taught to drink one complete 8-ounce serving of plain water during scheduled reminders and naturally occurring daily routines. This behavior directly replaced the competing behavior of postponing water consumption while studying, working, or completing other responsibilities. Teaching this replacement behavior made it easier for participants to meet their daily hydration goal of 64 ounces. Our consequence strategies were designed to strengthen and maintain consistent water consumption through positive reinforcement. Following each successful occurrence, participants immediately recorded their water intake using the self-monitoring data sheet. Each completed 8-ounce serving earned 1 point on a fixed ratio 1 or FR1 schedule of reinforcement. Participants also provided positive self-feedback after each successful occurrence. Once the daily goal of 64 ounces was achieved, accumulated points could be exchanged for preferred reinforcers, such as additional leisure time, watching a favorite TV show, enjoying a preferred snack, or engaging in another preferred activity. These reinforcement procedures were selected because both the research literature and our assessment supported the use of immediate positive reinforcement to increase and maintain consistent water consumption. To promote long-term behavior change, we also included generalization and maintenance procedures. Participants practiced the intervention across home, work, school, and community settings while continuing to carry visible water bottles throughout the day. As the behavior became more consistent, reminder prompts and tangible reinforcement were gradually faded so that drinking water became controlled by natural environmental cues. Participants also continued self-monitoring and were encouraged to involve family members in supporting healthy hydration habits. These procedures were designed to help maintain the behavior after the formal intervention ended. This slide summarizes our intervention outcomes. Again, our dependent variable was the total ounces of plain water consumed per day because it directly measured progress toward our intervention goal. Visual analysis showed that baseline performance was low, stable, and demonstrated minimal variability. After the staggered introduction of the intervention, both participants showed an immediate increase in water consumption. The data also demonstrated an increasing trend throughout the intervention phase, with only moderate variability early in treatment before performance became more stable. Both participants ultimately met the mastery criterion of consuming at least 64 ounces for 3 consecutive intervention sessions. Overall, the visual analysis suggests that our treatment package was effective in increasing daily water consumption. In conclusion, our self-management intervention successfully increased daily water consumption for both participants. The treatment package effectively increased daily water consumption, with both participants achieving the 64-ounce per day mastery criterion. Antecedent strategies, self-management, and positive reinforcement promoted consistent improvements throughout the intervention. To support the reliability of these findings, treatment fidelity was maintained throughout the study by using standardized procedures, consistent operational definitions, and periodic review of the intervention procedures. These practices helped ensure the intervention was implemented consistently across both participants. As with any research study, it is important to acknowledge several limitations and suggest directions for future research. The findings from this project support a functional relation between the intervention and increased water consumption. However, only 2 participants were included. Future studies should include additional participants to strengthen experimental control. A longer follow up period would also help evaluate the long term maintenance of behavior change. Another limitation is that formal inter-observer agreement was not collected. Although this was acceptable for this class self-management project, future studies should include an independent observer whenever feasible to calculate the percentage of agreement between observers, strengthening confidence in the accuracy and reliability of the measurement. Overall, this project demonstrates the practical value of applying evidence-based ABA principles through self-management to produce meaningful and sustainable improvements in an important health-related behavior. Thank you for your attention. We would be happy to answer any questions.